I want to give you an opportunity, Laila, to maybe share a little bit about who you are and what your organization, Trafficking Hub, and the Justice Defense Fund are doing. So, can you kind of give us a little bit about your background and how you kind of got involved in this? I mean, no, I can't imagine anybody wakes up one day and say, "Hey, I want to take on one of the top 10 largest websites in the world." So, kind of maybe walk us through a little bit about what that story was and how you got here today.
Yeah, sure. So, I've been fighting this issue of sex trafficking for almost 15 years now. And I spent the last 9 years investigating and researching what I call big porn. So we have such a thing as big tobacco, big tech. We have big porn. And I was specifically, looking at it from, so many angles. From the consumer perspective of how this was potentially harming children who were consuming this content, even as young as 8 years old, but also for those who are behind the camera or behind the screen. I think I talk about it in terms of those who are in front of the screen and those who are behind the screen, and the harms to both of those groups, specifically when it comes to children and victims. And so, looking at sex trafficking within the big porn industry, force, fraud, coercion, child sexual abuse, and assault and non consensual content. And anyone who's investigating and researching pornography will end up on Pornhub, because Pornhub, as of December 2020, was the largest and most popular porn site in the world. I think the stats in 2020 were that the site was receiving 47 billion visits per year. That's 130 million visits per day. That they had enough content in 2019 uploaded in that 1 year that it would take 169 years to watch if you watched it back to back. Massive site. They call Pornhub the 10th most trafficked site in the world as of last year. There was also a study done in 2020 that found that as far as tech companies go, that Pornhub had the third largest influence on society, behind Facebook and Google, but ahead of Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple. So just an incredibly humongous site company with a tremendous influence. And so, anyone who's investigating this industry will find out, find themselves on Pornhub very shortly, as I did. And what I discovered, what millions of people already knew, is that all it took to upload content to the world's most popular porn site was an email address. That in under 10 minutes, anyone around the world could anonymously upload a sex crime, a crime scene, really, to the world's most popular porn site with no verification of age of those who are in the video, making sure they're not children, no verification of consent to make sure these are not trafficking or rape victims or revenge porn victims. And because of that, the site was infested with videos of the real rape, trafficking, abuse, assault of countless victims. And so that's kind of how this emerged. And then from there, I felt an obligation to make this information known to the world. And so I wrote an op-ed, and from there, it received a lot of feedback where people were shocked and horrified, because Pornhub has presented itself to the world as, this company that, does things like clean the ocean campaigns and save the bees and breast cancer awareness, and they donate masks for coronavirus, and they have snow plows with their logo, like plowing snow in Boston for the people, and doing all these things. And so people were under this deception that what they were seeing on Pornhub was actually legal vetted content, when in fact, in so many cases, it was completely illegal. So that's why people were horrified and shocked, and they called on me to start a petition. Actually, it wasn't my idea. And I copied and pasted my op-ed that I wrote into there, and it went viral. And, lots of things have happened since then, but that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're gonna get to some of the things that you guys accomplished last year. Curious kind of what you guys are working on now, and just kind of how people can be involved in support. That's fascinating to hear. The third most influential tech company. I mean, you rattled off a few there with Amazon. I mean, you would think that they would be near the top. And as you're saying that, it's like I've been on YouTube for a few years now. Just in this last year, we've really kind of dialed it down and seen a lot of growth there. And I know with YouTube, like if I post a video that's got music playing in the background that I don't own rights to, my video gets flagged. If somebody pulls a clip from one of my videos and reposts it to their channel, I'll get a copyright notification. So the tech is there, the artificial intelligence to flag some of these things. So I guess my question is with this site and knowing that these child videos have been uploaded, has this just been negligence on the side of Pornhub with lacking the right type of technology? Or, I mean, there's got to be a way that there's an artificial intelligence that can identify some of these things in the video. Like, why hasn't this been put into their software?
Sure. It's kind of the key word you said was knowing, and the fact that they knew and they've known that children, mostly underage teens, have been exploited on the site. But the Sunday Times investigation in 2019 said they found dozens of illegal videos within minutes on Pornhub, some of children as young as 3 years old. So, and you think about trafficking victims and knowledge of Pornhub of what was going on. And that was years ago that those victims were reaching out to Pornhub saying, I was coerced, I was tricked, and I was forced into this situation. And my videos are all over your site. Please take them down. Victims begging for the removal of their trafficking crime scenes to be taken on Pornhub for years. And so they've known it. Now, in spite of knowing, they had a system where it was set up for exploitation. Like I mentioned, that you can anonymously upload sex videos to this site with no verification of age or consent. But beyond that, in order to try to detect content or review content, they had, I was given internal documents by Pornhub moderator whistleblowers, internal company documents that showed that they had only under 10 moderators per shift looking at content on Pornhub. And, compare that with Facebook, that's not a porn site, that is, they had 15,000 moderators. But even if Pornhub had 15,000 moderators, there's no way a human can guess accurately the difference between a 15-year-old nude body and an 18-year-old nude body on a consistent basis. It's impossible. It's also impossible for them to be guessing and correctly, the difference between somebody having rough sex and somebody being raped. You can't guess that accurately. And they knew that also. So when you talk about complicity, when you think about knowledge, I believe it goes way beyond just pure, negligence or accidents to a place of full well knowledge and complicity.